Good day, Ma'am Espina. My name is Jenny Flor Dimupal and I am from BSN1 Section D. Today, I'm gonna talk about the skeletal system. Our skeletal system mostly consists of bones. There are 206 bones in a human adult, but there are also a good amount of cartilage, ligaments, and tendons. What I'm gonna specifically show you right now is our 206 bones. There are two sections in our bones. We have the axial bones and then the appendicular bones. In the axial bones, it consists mostly of the skull, the thoracic cage, and then the vertebral cartilage. While our appendicular bones are mostly consist of the limbs, the upper and the lower limbs. First, we're gonna talk about the skull and then the facial bones. Our skull, in the cranial bones, which is the protector of our brain, we have here the temporal bone, two temporal bone, the frontal bone, two parietal bone, occipital bone, the ethmoid bone, and the sphenoid bone. These bones right here in the cranial bones are connected by what we call the sutures. We have here the coronal sutures, here the sagittal sutures, the lambdoid sutures. We also have the occipitomastoid and the squamous sutures. In the facial bones, there are 14 bones, which are the lacrimal bones, two lacrimal bones, two nasal bones, two palatine, two inferior nasal concha or two inferior nasal conchae, because from what I have saw in the video, it was pronounced as conchae, but in the Google, it was pronounced as concha. Two maxillary, two zygomatic bone, and the mandible bone. We also have here the ear bone, the incus, the malleus, and the stapes. The stapes is the smallest bone in our body. Next, below the mandible, we have here the hyoid bone. Hyoid bone is not attached to any other bone. And then we have the clavicular bone, the scapula bones, and then we also have here the sternum. The sternum. In the sternum, we have the manubrium, the body, and the xiphoid process. And we also have two pairs of 12 ribs. So there are 24 ribs in total. First to 7 ribs are called the true ribs, and 8 to 12 are called the false ribs, while 11 and 12 specifically are called the floating ribs because they are actually floating. So the first and 7 ribs are connected or attached directly to the sternum, while the 8 to 12 are indirectly attached to the sternum. We also have our vertebrae. The first to 7 vertebrae are called the cervical vertebrae, C1 to C7, and then there are 12 thoracic vertebrae, T1 to T7, T1 to T12, and then 5 lumbar. We have L1 to L5, and then here is the sacrum, which is actually 5 fused vertebrae. And then here is the tailbone, which are called the coccyx. Moving on, we have here this is what we call the humerus. And then the radius and ulna. When you shake your hands to another person, you're facing them. This bone right here, lined up with the thumb, are called the radius, and then under is the ulna. Radius and ulna. Moving on, here we have the carpal, the metacarpal, and the phalanges. In the carpal or in the wrist, we have 8 bones, 8. So it has specific names as well. We have the scaphoid, the lunate, triquetrum, the pisiform, the hamate, the capitate, trapezoid, and trapezium. And then our phalanges, we have 14. The distal phalanges, the proximal phalanges, distal phalanges, middle phalanges, and proximal phalanges. Moving on, we have the pelvic girdle. In our pelvic girdle, we have the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis. So, our largest and strongest bone are called the femur. And then the kneecap are called the patella. This big bone right here in our leg are called the tibia, and then the small bone in our leg is the fibula. Tibia and fibula. Our ankle has what we call the talus. Talus and then the calcaneus. Below the talus, not really below, but like here we have the navicular and then the cuboid. And then this is what we call the medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, and then the lateral cuneiform. These are called the phalanx. We have also 14 phalanx. The distal phalanx, the medial phalanx, and the proximal phalanx. And I guess that's all is there in our human adult bones. There are 206 bones in our body. So that's all. Thank you.